Hello, good day everyone. So by the way, I am going to introduce myself. I am LLOYD P. TALABON, a second year college student at Davao Central College, taking up Bachelor of Science in Criminology. So for today's video, I am going to discuss or make a podcast about the code of conduct for law enforcement officials. So first, I just want to ask permission that I will first read, and next is I am going to give my insight about what I am reading. So first, letter A, law enforcement official. So the one I am going to recite is the code of conduct for law enforcement officials. So letter A, law enforcement official shall at all times fulfill the duty imposed upon them by law, by serving the community and by protecting all persons against illegal acts consistent with the high degree of responsibility required by their profession. So my insight about this law enforcement code of ethics of the law enforcement is that a law enforcement should do their job, their responsibility upon what the law is given to them. It is their first priority to serve and protect the people in the community against the illegal illegal acts or illegal acts in a certain community. Next, letter B. In the performance of their duty, law enforcement officials shall respect and protect human dignity and maintain the uphold of the human rights of all the persons. So first and foremost, the law enforcement officials should the one who encourage their personnels or their men that they should have a good relationship between them to their people or the people in the community. Then as not, they should have a or they should not violate the human rights of its or of the people in a certain community, and they should respect the human dignity and protect human life. Next, letter C, law enforcement official may use force only when strict necessary and to the extent required for the performance of their duty. So next, so a law enforcement should have a calm characteristic. First and foremost, if they needed the force to extend or to enforce the law, then they can do that. But if there will be if the force is not needed, then it should not be used as a strict or enforcement of the law. Next, letter D, matters of confidential natures in the possessions of the law enforcement official shall be kept confidential. Next, my insight about this is that a law enforcement should have a nature of confidentiality. What does it mean? Example, if there is a confidential mission about a certain people or a certain thing, then it should be keep as confidential unless it should necessary to voice out in other people or in other officials. It is better to have a like this characteristic because it is really helpful in implementing or in preserving a secret or a confidential mission or a confidential thing. Next one is E. No law enforcement official may inflict, instigate, or tolerate any act of torture or other cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment, nor may any law enforcement official invoke superior order or exceptional circumstances such as a stage of war, a threat of national security, internal political stability, or any other public emergency. So next, a law enforcement official should not do, or it should be prohibited to do an act of uh, an act of an act of tolerating any kind of torture or other cruelty in human life. It should be prohibited to use torture in every person. That's why we should bear it into our mind that when we are in a official, or when we are one of the official of the law enforcement, then torture is very, very prohibited, and it is against to human rights of a certain people. Next, law enforcement officials shall ensure the full protection of the health of person in their custody, and in particular shall take immediate action to secure medical attention whenever it is required. Next, a law enforcement official should always bear it into their mind that they should secure the health of its person in custody, or whether if the medical of a certain people is required, then they should give it to a person or the person in their custody. Letter G. Law enforcement officials shall not commit any act of corruption. Okay, that is clearly stated in the conduct of the law enforcement officials. So, corruption is very prohibited. It is in RA 1319, the otherwise known the Anti-Graft and Corruption. So, it is very prohibited to have a corrupt officials in a certain government offices. Let us bear it into our mind that corruption is really prohibited, and if failure to do so, then the law will enforce a punishment to a certain individual that have a corrupt doings in a particular public offices. As we all know, public offices is a law or a office of a good offices or a trust offices of the people. Next H, and the last one or the last letter, law enforcement officials shall respect the law and the present code. They shall also, to the best of their capability, prevent and rigorously oppose any violation of them. So lastly, so a law enforcement officer should always bear it into their mind that they should respect the law and the code of ethics of their organization. So the law or the code of conduct for law enforcement officials is a very helpful thing to the officials, because it will always a guidebook or a guidelines for them what the do's and don'ts of their duties, what are the do's and don'ts for them to act upon serving and protecting the people. So I do hope as a future criminologist and a future law enforcement officers and officials, let us do and spread love to the community where we are being assigned. That would be all. Thank you and babuhay tayong lahat.